Well, this is really the second day that I've got to work on this. The first partial day was just prep. I didn't really put up much of anything at all, just, got one sheet started in the laundry room over there. And second day, I pretty much got the laundry room done. A few things left to do, but not much. And then I got one sheet mostly secured here in the dining. In about an hour so far this morning, I've got the second sheet, finished the first, and put this piece up. So the dining ceiling is now done, and I can work on the walls surrounding the dining room. Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm, Cornucopia Orchards. So the dining room's not big. It's about 10 foot 4 wall to wall, and about 10 foot, I don't maybe 10 foot 6 if you count the dining room all the way to the edge of the beam. I don't know. We're probably going to do a drop down here because the beam hangs lower. And you can see that the drywall comes up and butts the board that's attached to the beam. And so we'll probably do some kind of a drop down thing, faux beam underneath the real beam. I don't know. We'll see what that looks like. However, what that does mean, I don't know. So you tell me, does that mean that the dining room would include the beam, or is that part of the living room space? I'm kind of thinking it's really neither. And the only reason that, that really matters is because you can, now that we've got the ceiling in and we're about to have the walls in, you can really start to see this house is compact. It's 2,400 square feet, but a lot of that comes from the spare room in the attic. I think the word I was looking for was it looks big because it's so tall, but it's really quite narrow, and it's not exceptionally long either. Including the first floor only area, it's 42 feet long, and it's only 28 feet wide. And the first floor area is actually only 17 feet wide because we also, 17 and a half, 18 walls take into account, because we have that 10 by 10 porch that comes off the dining room. And so, it's a small space. And we had wanted originally to put like just a narrow glass face of cabinets on that wall. Well, if that happens at this point, it's in the future anyway, because that's definitely not in the budget right now. Those would be quite expensive compared to a normal cabinet. And I don't know whether we will be able to do it unless we can find a long, narrow table that allows this space to work, because the one we have, I think, is 40-ish inches wide. When you include enough space for people to sit, this just isn't that much room not to be able to knock out, a foot of space here. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We're going to try and get these walls finished out in here. I got to do a little bit of more insulation right up in there along the top. And then behind those sheets, there's actually a section that has no bats, like next to the power box, the power panel. And that won't take long. Let's cut a bag and get it taken care of. But once we get this drywalled, this little area here, I'm thinking, is kind of perfect. I'm going to take a poly tarp, plastic poly. I'm going to just staple it off to the beam, and then, staple it off to here or tape it off or whatever, and then have a cut in the middle. I'm not going to go for like a zipper door or anything like that. It's just too much money to spend for not much reason. We're not living in here, but have this area in here be clean, dry, very importantly, and I can apply heat if I need to, and I can apply a dehumidifier, because today or tomorrow we're going to go order our flooring, and that will probably only take 3 weeks to get here, maybe 4 weeks to get here from what they're saying on their lead times. And we're going to need a space to store that, climate controlled, to be, about like what the house will be once it is done. And this is a great space for that. And in the meantime, I could set up a little TV down here or something, and then the boys can be down here. I can be working out in the broader area of the house. and then there's no chance of them getting drywall dust in their space, and kind of separates them from the construction. Right now I'm planning, okay? Planning. This is a 28-foot wide building, so you got about 27.5 feet that we're spanning here. I'm sorry, 27 feet actually, because 6-inch wall on each side. And so essentially you've got, a 12, a 4-ish, or a 4 true, and then 11 and maybe an inch. I think I figure it's 11 and an inch. It's going to be about right. I could go a little bit less, and that might be safest. And in order to figure out what exactly I'm going to do and how I'm going to do this, I took up the laser measure and a tape measure, and I went across both directions, and here's what I came up with. So naturally, if you come from the sides, you're not hitting a joist. And in this particular case, you're actually hitting 2 beams that are flush to the floor above. They're not flush to the ceiling down here. It's just the way it was. And what this actually is going to allow me to do, I'm kind of tickled by it. So we're going to come from over here with 1/12 and cut it at 11 and 1 or so. And you can see I actually have 2 lines marked. This other one, I measured a full 12 from that side, gave it a hair of extra space. That is giving me basically that whole way across an even 12 plus a hair. Then I screwed up into there and pulled tape and found 4 foot plus a hair over here, and that's this mark. Then from there I measured to find my 11 foot and an inch minus. But the neat thing about having this be the joints, other than I just shove those boards up underneath there to where I can attach it wherever I want within that space and have it be fine. The neat thing is that there is a slight difference, even with that 3/4 on this beam and on that other beam there, between the height of the floor joists and the height of the beam. The beam is set up like an 1/8, maybe 3/16, I would say at most. But that's actually kind of nice, because we've got butt joints that are connecting on these. And if that butt joint is forced to come up just a hair, then it's going to create a little space for me to be able to, put in my mud and my tape, and then it's not going to require me to go way out to either side of it in order to just, make it look like it's flat. It will be much easier. Well, I have this and I decided to go ahead and build it today and try it out. And it says don't stand on it without having securing the feet first. You can definitely see why they would recommend that. Just pushing off of a screw, putting in that piece over the door and the windows there. The whole thing tried to send me flying, which wouldn't have been ideal given that I hadn't secured any screws in that sheet yet, but it stopped. And now I know that I should probably at least hold on to something. I got the first 2 sheets up in the kitchen, and I'm very excited about that. That hole right there, I'm ashamed of. It's horrible. I'm not going to zoom in on it. You don't need to see it. You can see it from here. It's bad. It's real bad. I thought that because those are plastic, if I push too hard, like to try and keep the router bit where it's supposed to be as I was routering up around it, I thought I was going to just cut right through that plastic, and it felt like it was still tracking, and then it went off course, and I was like, that is not good. The other one, pretty good. Maybe the fixture I'll get will cover that and completely. I'll have to mud it. So this will be our first actual 12 lifted. And I don't know, should be fine. wasn't so horrid. I mean, I could have enjoyed it a lot more, but well, it could be okay. So I'm gonna try and get this to see how we're sitting relative to the beam and these pieces, whether we're drifting off course or whether we're just about right. And yes, it's done that every time. I'm starting to feel like maybe it's got something in for me here. Out for me, in for me. Well, we did a thing. The big one is my parents' bull, and the little one is a little dexter bull. We went and picked him up today. So far they seem like they're going to be friends. Although I think the little guy is a little bit freaked out about how much bigger he is. That's a Piedmontese next to a dexter, and the dexter is not quite a year old. Piedmontese is full grown. So right now we are trying to decide whether or not to do a last minute project before I start covering up these walls, which is the last chance for any kind of electrical or whatever to be done. And we've kind of decided to not do it because it's a nice idea, but it's maybe a more minimal benefit. And what we were going to do is we were going to put in a switch that would power the outside plugs that we have up high. And then, you know, you'd be able to just flip the interior switch, not have to go outside and turn off your Christmas lights that you have up there. But at the same time, you know, we kind of figured we can return the 20 amp switches. We don't have to go back and mess up, you know, and redo the installation. And, you know, it wouldn't have been a huge project, but it does save us the time.
Some of these, they'll only allow you to have them on for an hour, which is not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we can find something.
That's more like 2 hours or 3 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
So Casey was just saying that, you know, they make 4 or 5 different types of timers and switches and all that sort of thing to be able to control this now.
Yeah.
And then we actually bought some clearance lights just for this one side that have, you know, there's an app. Of course
there's an app for that.
So we're probably just gonna not do that project, but we have made some okay progress for non-drywall hangers like ourselves, and it's just been a couple of hours thus far, but boy, it's changing the room, isn't it?
It really is. It looks a lot brighter now. Mm-hmm.
It does. So the dining room over there, I've put a tarp up for the kids to be able to have an area to be down here with me sometimes, and then I can work over here and they don't get dust. And our living room and dining room are starting to take shape on the ceiling level. Well, here's one of the 4 cuts for a sheet, and I only got a grade of a C because that one was not quite right. But, you know, that's pretty good for me anyway. Casey's going to fix it, and then it'll look as good as it could be expected to look. The good news is that we have extra large plates, right, dear?
Yep.
This is a visual record for us. So this is from the right window in the kitchen. I feel like some of this has taken me forever on the drywall. I am certain that the house would be about done now if this were someone who knew what they're doing. I'm just trying not to make a whole bunch of damage as I go and to try and get some reasonably tight seams and to do a good job. And a lot of what we have down here, we have plugs already in, switches already in, and so we're not routering out as much. Right now, I just cut for this space behind me here. I have that bottom piece in. Remember, trim's going to cover, so I don't have to worry about that butt end right there. I'm going to have another piece that's going to go in on the top and come down and then patch where the trim will be behind. And you can see it's just right there at the side of the window is the next sheet, and that's what I'm working on right now. The end of it has that pipe. That outlet is inside of it. And then there is a spot where wire is going to come out for the under cabinet lights and plugs and switches down here. So I was just saying over there, oh, this is one of the hardest ones I'll probably have to do because it has, you know, four fixtures in it. And here I've got this thing here, and I'm just like, yeah. Here's the kicker, though. It also has that. And remember, I'm tucking this in behind. You can see I've got that less than 1/8 of an inch there where, you know, it's fitting real nice. But that piece, that's the range plug. I might need to pull that before I can get this thing to slide in because there's the hole, you know, and I've got those spacers to pull that out to where it's flush with the wall, a finished wall. I don't know if it's going to slide in nicely or not. I don't know. And then, you know, it's gotta it's gotta come in and then not scrape too bad against the ceiling on the top. This is just going to be an interesting one. So I am going to film it, and I apologize in advance if there are words. Let's start with the bottom and just see if it's even possible. I don't know that it is. I mean, we're up 4.5 inches here. So far, I'm encouraged. Now, that piece has got to go. There's our wire. That's okay. A little bit more for sure. Yeah, yep. Okay. Let's see if I can get this to come up at all. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but I think it's going to work. I just got to cut a little off the top on both of these two outlets. This box isn't quite straight, but neither is my cutter. Okay. Okay. That's almost not bad. We're still gonna make it there. Another short day because we picked up the little bully, but we got these two sheets, and then over here we got those two sheets in, Casey and I did, and some sheets down here on the bottom, and this wall sheet. You know, 5 hours of my time at most, and I'm pretty excited about the progress here because this was chocked full of drywall. In order to have somewhere to put this thing, I need to empty out some of the shop because I can barely open the doors. In order to do that, I need to probably bring it down here. So when the flooring arrives, yes, we've ordered our flooring, and I'm super excited about that too. Yes, it was early, but there was a special deal, and we price matched it to the company that made it, and that made it even specialer. and I'm pretty confident I couldn't have done better. So a short amount of storage, like a month of storage, isn't going to kill it, so long as it's climate controlled relative, to what the house is going to be like. So we've ordered the flooring, and that's going to come in about 3 weeks. And when it gets here, that's going up to the shop, and the cabinets are coming down here as well. And we'll put them in our little tarp room here, and then turn on a dehumidifier set to about 60, and have a heater that can come on if it needs to. And that's going to keep those two things in good shape, and then this thing can be out of my way. In the meantime, it rolls. I'm hungry. It's dinner time. I'm gonna go get some food, and then tomorrow we're gonna try and get that whole room done and starting into the hall. That would be amazing. And once we're that far, that's more than half of the first floor being done as far as what we have to do for sheetrock, which I would be super excited about, because that would mean probably about a month worth of rock, which is what I'm hoping for, and then on to mudding and sanding and taping. This part of the process is just so cool because, we've been building on this house for so long, and there's a lot of detail that goes into it, and it's very interesting stuff. And, we definitely have learned so much, and all of it is, hard work, but not all of it is the same level of exciting. So framing was super exciting, and getting the roof on the house was very exciting. And the plumbing, electrical, and mechanical, and insulation were not very exciting to me. They weren't not fun, I guess, but they definitely were not exciting. This is exciting. Getting the drywall on is very exciting, and it's what the house is going to look like. And getting that far is something that I thought would come a lot sooner, but now that we've slogged our way through this work, it really feels earned, I guess. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next video.